Hi everybody, I'm Jeffrey Allen and welcome to the Facebook Live session here. And I'm coming to you from Budapest. And if you look behind me, you can kind of see there's a big castle here and we have the river, and it's so amazing, so beautiful here in Budapest. And I apologize I was a minute late because I thought I started, but I actually didn't push the right button. So I'm an energy healer, an energy teacher, and I've been doing this for over 10 years. And what I like about these live sessions, like today, what you're going to get is a chance to ask me questions. You know, what is the thing about energy work or energy healing that you find the most, that you're really wondering about, or like, why does this work, or why doesn't this work, or is my energy gonna? Somebody asked, am I going to run out of energy if I don't meditate? You know, these are great questions because if you're used to living in the material world and using our material mind, which really understands objects and things you can touch and feel and see and like all the real stuff, then this is what you're used to thinking about. And when you start working in the energy world and doing energy work or energy healing, there's a whole different like mind that you have to turn on. You have to turn this kind of spirit mind that understands what's happening with energy. And sometimes it takes a little while to get used to, like, okay, the material world has these rules, but the energy world kind of has these rules. And that's why I want to give you a chance to just ask your questions and say, so I can sort that out for you. Because once you make that switch and you realize that, energy is not an object, energy is more like a vibration, the lights go on and things start to get easier. So go ahead and type in your comments down below, and I'll tell you a little bit. Meanwhile, it's just so fun. It's perfect timing because right now I'm here in Budapest, and I just finished up an event with two other Mindvalley authors, with Lisa Nichols and Marissa Peer. And it's called Wake Up Day. It was so fantastic. It was actually created by another Mindvalley A-faster named MLK Vagasi, and so she put together this fantastic event. And I'm teaching a class next weekend with my wife, all about mastering your life energy. But of course, not everybody's here in Budapest, so this is just so perfect that you have the chance right now. Mindvalley's putting the masterclass out, so you can go watch my masterclass and learn about energy anywhere you are in the world. So it's just really exciting. And of course, then if you type in a comment down below, you'll get a link that'll take you into that masterclass. And I encourage you to ask me whatever you want. Just be open. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And if you have like a really interesting story too, like a short story, something that happened, it was like, wow, that was really cool. And maybe you took Duality and you had this, my class at Mindvalley, you took Duality and you got this amazing insight, but you didn't quite understand it. That's something you could share too, and I could give you a little deeper insight about that. So I see there's some questions rolling in here. Let me see what we have here. Okay, so there's a good question about, this one came in ahead of time, that said, is my energy going to run out if I don't meditate? And this one was by Uvu. And this was a really interesting question because this is a time when you're confusing that energy body or energy world with your material body and the material world, right? So if you think about things in terms of the material world, then there's tangible objects you can touch. And if I have like 3 apples and like I give you one, then I've only got 2 left. I give you one more, I've got 1 left. I give you away the last one, I don't have any. Objects work like this. This is kind of object accounting. And this is the way we're used to thinking about the world. Energy work doesn't work like that at all, right? You can also think about it in kind of terms of physics, where we have particles and we have waves, right? Then you got to know, like, are we talking about the particle version of the world? We're kind of looking from the particle view, or are we looking from the wave view? So when you're looking at energy, you're looking from the wave view. You're not looking from the object view. You're looking at vibrations and frequencies. So if you have energy, what you probably mean is, like, is your energy high? Is it vibrating up here? And does it feel good? That's probably what you mean. You probably don't mean, am I going to run out of energy? If you ran out of energy, your body would be in trouble. That'd be the end of you. And that's not going to happen. But when you meditate, what happens is your energy starts to get more coherent. Okay, now when I say coherent, it sounds complicated, but I'm really talking about is, imagine that you had your headset in and you're listening to the radio, okay? Now, if you have a coherent signal coming from the radio station, it's just going to be playing this nice groovy music that you like, and there's just one song playing. And this is coherency, right? It doesn't matter what the song is, it's coherent, there's one thing happening. But if you're kind of between stations, or you have more than one station playing, and you're getting this like, you know, this kind of noise happening, and it's not coherent, that's what it feels like when your energy is down, okay? It may not actually be down, it may just be a little confused or a little bit noisy. Now, meditation is one of the kind of most time-tested and true ways to get your energy to come back into coherency. So instead of pointing many directions and being kind of confused, it's coming back and like lining up, and then feeling like, you know, I feel good, I feel light, I feel bright, it feels easy. You know, when you're in coherency, things feel very good. And I think that's the thing that really drives us to meditate, is we want to get that feeling of, you know, I'm clear. Because when the noise turns down, this is actually why I teach energy healing too, is energy healing helps you get in and take out those things that are creating noise. Right? You can think of it, if you've got a little bit of energy block or an old wound, you've got something that happened to you that created pain, that might be sitting in your energy body somewhere, and it's kind of creating this little like, or like ow, 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 or like pain, pain, anger, anger, you know, something's happening here. And you do energy healing, you go in and you learn to find that, to release any judgments or struggle you have with it, and then just take it out. And when you can do this, it's amazing, because it's like taking out that noisy radio, and all of a sudden you can hear the clear signal again, and that clear signal is you, right? That's the clear signal. So all of a sudden you're tuned in and you're feeling like, wow, I don't know why, but I just feel better, and I feel me, and I feel more clear, and all of a sudden those problems that I couldn't figure out at work are just like right there, and they're easy. I'm sure some of you had that happen, where you go for a hike for 2 days, you know, you go out camping, and that hard problem you've been spending weeks on all of a sudden opens up, and boom, you have the answer. It's because your energy got coherent. Nature will bring your energy into coherency too. You know, you don't have to meditate, you can just go out into nature. But, you know, since a lot of us live in the city, you know, meditation's a great way to do that. So that's kind of to your question. So you're asking, will your energy run out if I meditate? I would say it won't run out. That's an object level thinking, not an energy level thinking. But your energy will tend to, if you're in a noisy environment or your mind is noisy, will tend to get non-coherent. Okay, and so you'll feel less of you, you'll feel less of the signal, and you won't feel as good and as happy. So it's a little different way to think about it. You know, you don't have to be afraid of it, because at any time you could meditate, go back to nature, hang out with your best friends, watch a funny movie, fall in love, you know, do any of the things that bring your energy up and into coherency, and that will naturally fix itself. So that's a good question. So let me see what else we got here. Let me kind of scroll through. And do you have any other questions queued up there?
Yeah, for example, from Dana.
Okay.
I don't know how to get out of my head and into my spirit.
Okay, don't know how to get out of my head into my spirit. Okay, so, oh, actually, I think, let me push the button here. I think I'll be able to see your comments. Oh, that's fine, it's fine. So, how do I get out of my head and into my spirit? So, that's a good question. So, when you think about your head, what you're talking about is your mind, or what I would call the material mind, okay? Your material mind, like I mentioned, is really good at understanding material things, things you can touch and feel and measure, and things that are objects, and you use kind of this object level accounting, you know, like one goes away, I have one less thing. So this is what your mind or your material mind is typically doing. Now, that can seem like it's at odds with your spirit, or what I would call your spirit mind, you know, kind of like a second mind you have. And this, where this one is more a mind that understands the energy world. So it understands energy world. You can call it the spirit world. You could call it energy world. You know, there's many different names, but basically we're talking about the things you can't touch and feel and measure as easily as the material things. And so, if your mind, if your material mind is very loud and is always thinking, right? If you're always thinking about stuff, it's going to be hard to hear the spirit mind signal. Okay, so you don't have to get out of one and into the other. What you want to do is you want to actually find this balance in the middle, where you're your material mind and your spirit mind actually are both working, and you're getting both signals, and they're working together. Okay. So somebody just said I don't see the live Q&A yet, so I don't know. Maybe somebody can turn that on. I'm seeing little notifications here. So back to with your spirit and your material mind. So one, you want to change that goal. So you don't want to like turn off your material mind. Some people do that. This is when you get when you first get into energy work. It's really easy to get a little bit confused and to think, okay, the material world is bad, or money's bad, or wanting things is bad, and that the energy is good and material world's good and spirit is good. But that's confusion. That's not actually true. So what you want to have is balance, because you have a body, right? And that body requires body level things and money and food and all these things. And you have a spirit. And that spirit requires love and energy, understanding, and some care too. So you want to foster both of these, not to take one away and raise the other. There isn't a bad one, right? So if you want to do that, if you kind of want to get them into balance, what would I recommend? First thing I would say is, if you're doing a meditation practice, Mindvalley has tons of great meditation practices. Any of those will help you sort of calm that mind down, and you'll notice that the spirit mind kind of comes back up as this like material mind goes down. That's a good way to do it. There's actually a little trick that my wife taught me. If you focus right here, like right on the middle of your tongue in your mouth, if you focus your attention right there, your material mind will actually start to shut down. And the reason that works is that energetically there's a vibration. Just like when you talk, you're vibrating right here energetically. When you're thinking with your material mind, the same thing is happening. Your mind's not moving, or your mouth isn't moving rather, but you're energetically, you can see it's still kind of popping up and down like this when people are thinking. So if you focus right here and at the center of your tongue, kind of like right here in your mouth, that will turn off. So you can try that out. It's kind of a fun, just a fun little trick, little tip to my wife there. My wife Hisami. She's got a lot of these good little tricks. Okay, so what else we got? I need another question here. Mm-hmm. And if you, I don't know if I mentioned it, if you type in your question down below or share a little story, what will happen is you'll get a link that'll send you into the master class, so you can check out the master class. And of course, from there we've got the discount on Duality, which is awesome. I always love it when there's new people coming in, because I just imagine all those people that are waking up with their awareness into this new level of thinking and this new way to run your life in a really, really fun and positive way. Okay, so let me see, what do we got? Why religion doesn't talk about energy? Okay, so Prakash has a question. He says, why, I'm going to paraphrase, why doesn't religion talk about energy? Okay, so I would say that religion actually talks about energy a lot. I'm not an expert in various religions, but if you, like I'm here in Europe, and when I go around, one thing I love to do is go to the churches, right? Because they're just so beautiful, and there's beautiful paintings, and the energy is usually very nice and bright and coherent. And what you'll see is the paintings that they have of a saint or of Christ, and they'll have this sort of round thing right here behind their head, and that's energy. That wasn't like a clothing or some hat hanging there. That's their energy. So when they're drawing, they're depicting that these people were so clear and coherent that we can actually visualize or experience this energy around them. So it's in the drawings. If you look at, I'm trying to think, because like I said, not my expertise really. If you're looking at what's taught as far as some of the deeper teachings, like Christ taught about beyond the straight and narrow, that's about energy, right? So he wasn't talking about a road, he was talking about frequencies, right? So if you look at your high energy and your low energy, most people's energy is going like this, up and down. And as if life goes up, your job is good, your relationship's good, you tend to follow it, and your energy goes up here. And then your life goes down, you lose your job, something happens to your health, you tend to go down with it. And so your energy, most people throughout time are kind of going up and down like this. It's a little tiring. And that message from Christ about taking the straight and narrows actually has to do with frequencies, saying just take the straight and narrow here, energetically. So when life goes up, you stay balanced. When life goes down, you stay balanced. So life is always going to go up and down no matter what you do, but you can stay balanced and move through the middle. That's also what was called the middle road that Buddha talked about. So a lot of times you kind of have to, if you understand energy and you read the text through religion, it's really easy to see like, oh, okay, I get it. They're just talking about energy. If you don't understand energy, you might have a little of a little different interpretation. And but a lot of times that's just it's kind of like the story aspect rather than the kind of heart aspect of religious teaching. So what else do we have? There was a question I saw. I can't see him here, but I know you can see him. So I can also just kind of tune into the energy of this group. This would be kind of fun. So, so while I'm waiting for the questions to come up over here, when I tune in right now and I look at the group, it's really interesting because every time I do this Facebook Live, which is not very often, I see a little bit different energy. And right now with you guys, what I'm seeing is that there's a little bit of heavy energy with the group. So the transition that we're going through, we're moving in general from just more lower vibrations, we're moving into some higher vibrations right now on the planet. It looks like that transition is a little bit rough. Some of you are struggling right now, where there's because I see this kind of heavy energy in here for a lot of people, kind of in the chest during the heart area, and that energy, what I would say is, you want to keep in mind right now that we are in a period of big transition. That's why it's really important to seek out new information and whether it's get a little training or try something new, because when things are changing, you need new information coming in because your old information isn't usually sufficient. And as that change is happening right now, although in the big picture we're moving from some lower level vibrations, some kind of like mostly just material vibrations, and we're having some more higher vibrations coming in on the planet right now. So that is kind of pulling everybody up, but as we transition, it's a little bit rough. So, and I see that with you guys right now, that there's a little bit of heaviness. Even for those of you that are up here most of the time, there's still a little bit like, last week or so it's been a little heavy. And I'm actually glad I'm looking at this, because what I would tell you is, if that's happening for you, don't worry. This doesn't mean that things are going to go down or it's getting worse. It just means that you're in transition. There's change happening in your world right now, and that's a good thing. So what I'd recommend is, what you want to do is just kind of let go the best you can to having to know why it's happening. Let go of having to know, whose fault it is or what you did wrong or anything like that, and just trust that indeed we are moving from into a more positive state, both for you, your friends, your family, and the world in general, because that is happening. If you look from an energy perspective, you notice anybody that can really see energy isn't too worried about the future, right? I mean, I know there's going to be some, it's not going to be a smooth transition the whole way, but in general, we're going the right way. We're going into a really positive direction. That's why I don't worry about it, even when things feel heavy. Like now, we're actually in a little bit of a heavy dip right now. Everybody is. I don't worry about it, because I know the direction is going really positive. So what you want to do, again, is you want to just kind of let go of your attachment, whatever it is you're attached to, and just say, hey, I'm just going to trust the universe. That guy with the funny hair on Facebook, Jeffrey told me energy's going the right way. I'm going to trust that, and if you can do that, you'll notice that things will right themselves and will change. You don't actually have to take any radical action in that letting go process. Letting go is not radical action. Radical action comes later, when you're creating things. Okay, so let's see. So we got a couple more questions coming in. So this one's kind of fun. So Niet says, is empathy real? Okay, so that's kind of fun. So I teach about empathy in the duality training. There's a whole section in there. I think it's probably week 5. And it's also in the Unlocking Transcendence training. We teach about empathy, like how to amp up your energetic awareness or your empathic awareness. And yes, empathy is real. What empathy is about frequencies. So I mentioned that when you're working with spirit and you're working with energy work, that it's different from the physical world, right? We're not talking about objects, we're talking about energy and vibrations. And probably the best analogy I can give you is that if you're used to working with sound at all, sound is all about vibrations, right? So if you've got you get some tuning forks that are set to the same note, if one of those tuning forks, if you kind of give it a little push and start vibrating it, what'll happen is the other one will start vibrating to match it automatically. And you didn't touch this one, you didn't do anything, you didn't hit it. Just through resonant frequencies, it'll start to resonate. And that's what happens with empathy. So with empathy, think about your body is a bunch of little tuning forks. It's a bunch of signals that can both send out and receive information. That's how we're all communicating all the time. That's if you've fallen in love, if you have a connection with somebody energetically, if you have a great friend that you feel good with, and that's what's happening is like you're going into resonance with each other, you're going to harmonic resonance with each other, and that's what we call empathy. Now, one of the tricks with that is that if you have this empathic ability and you're a person that easily vibrates with everybody else, sometimes it's easy to get a little bit lost in everybody else's information. And so that's what I always teach when I'm teaching about energy work. Is I teach that you want to find you. You want to. It's okay to match the world because it's a really nice way to listen. It's a great social skill. You're going to blend in well. You're going to match with people. But at the end of the day, if you can't turn that off and forget about everybody else's vibrations and come back to who you are, you're going to have problems. You're going to get lost. You're going to have a hard time maintaining your focus. Like, what am I doing in my life, or what am I feeling with my emotions? And it's important when you can get that clarity. The whole world changes. So yeah, empathy is very real. It's happening all the time. And if you had a little longer question there, I would know exactly what you meant. But I hope that answers your question. So let me look at one more. Let's see. We've got. Whoops! I just lost it there. So I saw one about following your heart. Let me see. Okay, actually, here's a related one. So Renata says, can you elaborate on how to set healthy boundaries with energy? Sure. Yeah. So boundaries have to do with empathy. We just talked about empathy. When you have a clear boundary, what I would say, remember, you don't want to think in terms of objects, right? If you think in terms of objects or physical things, then you're not going to understand energy. You're going to misunderstand it, which is worse than not understanding it. So if you think about healthy boundaries, most people start to think like objects, like the boundary is like protection. I'm going to put up a shield, or I'm going to put up I'm going to somehow block other people from getting to me. I'm like here. That actually doesn't have, that has little effect, or sometimes negative effect, when you're dealing with energy. So with energy, what you want to do instead is you want to have clarity on who you are. Okay. So the more that you meditate, the more that you spend time with yourself and get to know yourself, the more time that you get clarity, both in your mind or in your body. You can exercise. You could do mental exercises that help you get clear, or physical exercises. Anything that helps you get more clear on who you are, and remember, who you are is going to help you have better boundaries. Because a boundary is just about knowing who you are, right? So a boundary energetically, not physically. A physical boundary is like a fence or a wall, But an energetic boundary is an understanding of who you are. So that when we have the noise, the world's out here vibrating like this, you understand that that's outside me, right? That's not me. That's outside me, and this is inside me. So it's really fun when we do the exercises. You can get so much deeper in this in the classes. We do the exercises of just noticing that, like, what's normally happening inside your mind that you think is you, that's actually outside. It's a really fascinating question. Or what emotions are you having? You might just notice right now, like, if you're feeling sad, you might think, am I sad? Am I feeling sadness? Is it somebody else's sadness? Is it my sadness from last year? Is it me? Is it now? Is it somebody else? Is it some other time? And we don't usually ask these questions, but if you understand energy, you see that these are really important, because that's what's going to help you establish that boundary. Because again, boundary is just knowing who you are. If you know who you are, you have good boundaries. If you don't know who you are, if you're insecure, you're going to tend to have kind of weak or easily to change boundaries. And I should say too, just one more comment on that, is that if you feel like you don't have boundaries, if you have you feel like you're really affected by other people, you don't want to think of that like you're doing something wrong or there's something wrong with you. There's really no good or bad way to run your energy. Some people are very sensitive to people around them in the world, and they use it in a really beautiful way for energy healing or for understanding others and for helping people. So that's okay. Some people have the same sensitivity, but they aren't using it very well. They're letting it kind of run them over and they're getting lost. So it's not that empathy is good or bad, or strong boundaries are better than weak boundaries. It's just that what fits your personality and how are you using your energy, like your natural energy, in a way that's creating a happy life for you and for everybody else. Like that's the important part. It's easy to, again, it's the difference between thinking about objects and thinking about energy. In the object world, one object's bigger than the other, one object's brighter than the other. There's always some spectrum of sort of good to bad, light to dark, small to large. The energy world isn't like that. It'd be like saying, Van Halen is bigger than Eric Clapton. I'm showing my age here. My band choices there, but you're saying like this music is bigger than that one, or that doesn't even make sense, right? Because music is a vibration. Music is energy. Okay, so the next question, what do we got here? Okay, I just answered yours, Mari. You said, is there good and bad energy? So bonus, we snuck that in there. So is there good and bad energy? Not really. There's just energy. Sometimes energy is appropriate and fits a situation, and sometimes it doesn't fit, or it's not appropriate or not helpful for that situation, right? So I'm trying to think of an example. There's times when you're receiving a certain energy or a certain feeling, and it's really helpful in that situation. Like there's actually times when anger, if you think about anger as an energy, there's times when anger is really, really helpful. It motivates you into action. Hopefully not violent action, it just motivates you into positive action. But there's times when that's a good energy. But most people would think, that one's bad, right? So I just want to give an example, one sort of supposedly bad thing it's not actually bad, it's just like, how do you use it? What do you do with it? And if you understand energy more, you'll see that there's positive uses for all energies. Some of them have fewer positive uses. Some of them have like many, many positive uses, but there's always something positive you can do. Okay, so that's a good one. Let's see. Okay, so Shidduch says, how to pass your high vibrations to a group, specifically in a business meeting. Okay, so this one's really good. And so for that, what I would say is, we were just talking about knowing who you are, right? If you're in a business meeting, a business setting, you're probably having some clarity on like who you are and what you're trying to create or what you're trying to make in the world. And so if you want to send that out to the room, actually Vishen just had a little video about this. It was a pretty clear way to do it. You're just going to first notice that you are broadcasting, right? So you're going to notice that I have energy vibrating here, and it's broadcasting out into the room, it's broadcasting into the people around me. And as that happens, you can visualize it, you can kind of like see it beaming out from your heart into everybody in the room. That's a really beautiful, really powerful way to do it. Sometimes I'll send it from up here, from above my head, where it looks like communication going out and connecting with other people. That's a very effective technique. But the main technique is that you're just letting your coherency, let yourself be very coherent. Don't have many signals. In this particular situation, if you're worried about what people are thinking about you, you're worried about how people are receiving you, you're probably going to get out of coherence, right? You just want to focus on what's my message. What's my message, and what's my best intention to give to the people here, and to like raise their vibration up and raise their energy up. And that's the most powerful way to do it. And so the thing in business, if I think about, I've been in many meetings. I was in the software world for 15 years, so I kind of lived in and out of meetings. And I got kind of bored because I have a short attention span at times. And so when people were doing, running a meeting, a lot of times there's just people just kind of blah, 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 talking, right? So what I did is I just looked at the energy, because that was always interesting. So I would just look and say, what's happening energetically in the room? Because what's happening in the material world is going to put me to sleep, right? And so if I look at the energy of the room, a lot of times you'll notice, people are starting to sort of fade, and energy is kind of coming down. And what you can do with that is let that light that's shining out of you sort of imagine it's brightening the whole room. Like you're this star, or this light that's actually broadcasting and like shining throughout the whole room and building it up. And that's actually true, actually. You know, especially if you're the speaker in the room, most people will expand their energy field to be the size of the room. So that's another good technique for you. I was trying to think that maybe there's one more good one. I want to give you a really good answer here, Kay, so you can use it in all those meetings you're in. And so let me just look specifically for you since I know you. I would say that for you in particular, you're going to get the strongest boost in your energy from kind of your heart chakra here up until your throat chakra. And actually you want to use this energy along the back of you. So if you just imagine there's like this beautiful like column of energy right in here, it was sort of like a speaker, you know, kind of those like cool speakers. You know, it looks, or if you imagine like the, you know, that trash can Mac, you know, that looks like this. That's not the right word, Mac Pro, and it looks kind of like that for you, but it's gold. So anybody can do this, but you can see that kind of vibrating as if my neck was that. It's sort of vibrating out, and for you, that's going to give this really strong signal that's like radiating out into the room. Now, another thing I would say with all of these techniques is that you got to keep in mind when you're in a room full of other people, whether it's a meeting or a relationship, or you know, you're like at a cafe, you know, hearing noises like we're hearing, is that there's always other people around, and they've got their own signals. So it's not necessarily your job to fix everybody or to change everybody's vibration, right? And you want to get people to come up. But some people just aren't going to make it. There'll always be times when people are having a bad day, they're stuck on something happened, and their energy is kind of low or even disruptive. And when that happens, if we rev up our energy and try to kind of compete for who's controlling the room and who's controlling the energy, what you'll notice is you'll quickly burn your energy out. At the end of the day, you'll be very tired. If you do the opposite and just sort of allow that space that like, okay, there's a disruptive person there. My wife always says like, today is this day. Like, oh, okay, today is this day. You know, it's not really happening, the meeting's not good, then what you're going to do is just kind of let those people be. If you have that stance of, it's okay that they're where they are energetically, like I want the energy to be here, but it's really here, but you know, today is that day. What you'll notice is when you let go of the attachment, other people will start to release too. It's a little hard to describe the energy because it's detailed and complicated, but then the whole room will come back up. So sometimes that's actually your best strategy, is to be you, be clear, don't resist what's happening, and let other people match you instead of doing anything specifically to them. So, all right, some tips. Okay, let's see what else we got here. So, we got a bunch. Okay, I'll have to answer faster. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we say, Kaylin says, how would you suggest choosing love over ego and maintaining that state of mind? Yeah, good question. So, choosing love over ego is usually about choosing whether you're going to struggle or whether you're going to resist. Okay, and like I just mentioned, if I want the world to be a certain way, and I'm trying to push it that way, that requires some ego. That ego is not a bad thing, but it's required if you want to kind of muster up and like push change into the world. So see, anybody that's a big change agent in the world has ego, and that's okay. Ego itself is not a bad thing at all. It's just how we use it, right? So if you're kind of pulling that energy up and like pushing it out of the world in a helpful way, and you're using it with love, right? So your love is sort of guiding you, right? Like, here's my signal, here's the song I'm playing, and the ego is just the volume that's helping turn it up so more people can hear it. Then love and ego fit together really well, right? Because the song it's a beautiful song. It's coming from your soul, and the ego is just helping it get it to more and more people. Then that's great. But if you don't have this connection where you're not listening to love or your energy or your spirit or your soul or any of these other words you want to use for it, then the ego is going to turn the volume up on your noise. Okay, so I mentioned that if you're coherent like this, we would call this love. right? Love is very coherent, very high vibration, feels really good. If you're not coherent, we could call that noise. You can use ego in either of those. If you use ego to send your noise to the world, then that's not helping anybody. If you're using ego to send your love to the world, your positive change to the world, then that's really helpful. So just a little reframe, ego's not bad. But I would say, and then you said, how would I suggest choosing love over ego and maintaining the state of mind? So I would just say, just choose love. Don't worry about the over ego part, okay? So, because if you're just choosing love, you're choosing which vibration. You're talking in energy terms. This is energy speak. I'm going to choose which vibration I'm going to use, right? If you're talking about over ego, now we're talking about objects over here. This is bad, this is good, this is, these things. You don't want to think like that. We're talking about objects, we're talking about energy, we're talking about vibrations and frequencies. How to maintain that state of mind, that has to do with what we just talked about with boundaries. So just the more that you practice, the more clear you are, the more that you know yourself, and that you're playing your authentic, honest song, the more that you'll maintain it. I say that because, especially as people move into more energy awareness, it's easy to get self-righteous and judgmental. And I say this because I did this guy right here. Right? Guilty. So when I got really deep into energy work, I started applying these good and bad rules toward the energy world. So suddenly everything seemed to be good and bad. Like I can't eat meat, vegetarians are good, meat eaters are bad. Meditators are good, meditators are bad. People with, focus on money are bad, not money is good. This is all nonsense, right? This does not matter. This is not an important way to talk about energy. And so when you feel yourself developing that, where you're judging the world, remember that you're trying to apply this material world thinking. You're trying to sort things logically, or in a material way. You're trying to sort energetic things in a material way. And it just doesn't make sense. You just want to let go of that and say, okay, I'm not going to think like that anymore. You're going to get out of this judgmental space and into just everything's okay in its time and place. And I'm going to make a choice as to which things I'm going to experience. Okay, so let me see what else. I always have a lot to say, so I apologize. If you want to get me to stop talking, that's pretty hard when it's one way. Okay, so Marty says, how can you understand your own energies when listening to the universe in silence? Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, so how do you understand, or how can you understand your own energies when listening to the universe in silence? Okay, so where do you think your energies are coming from? Right? So your energies are coming from the universe, right? It's kind of fun it'd be more like we look outside of us for the universe. We look outside of ourselves typically for everything, so it's this material world. But if you looked inside, you'll find that the entire universe is in you too. It's actually inside, not outside, or inside and outside at the same time. So if you are in silence, all that's going to do is turn down the noise, turn down this non-coherent stuff, and you'll notice that, there's this really beautiful signal that's you. It's funny because it reminds me of another question I've been hearing, kind of a discussion that's been going on in the last few weeks with people is, when people are talking about spirit guides, is that we think of that as external. I'm getting some guidance that must be outside of me because it was surprising, but not necessarily. That might actually just be you. You might just be talking to yourself, or part of yourself that you weren't as tuned into. If you watch people that function really high, and it's fun. I like to watch Vishen because he's really interesting, and he deals in both these worlds very well. But if you look at that, if you're working with your energy, and you're tuning in that level, that guidance and thinking sort of start to come together in this beautiful way. There's this mind is working, and your material world is great, and your spirit mind is working, and your energy is great, and you're tuned in, and they're just sort of all coming together at the same time. There's no need to turn anything off, and you're going to find that if you're in silence. Silence will help you find that. That's one way. And I think I got everything out of your question. Let's see it. Anything else in there? How can I understand my own energies? Listening to the universe in silence. Yeah, I would say very well. That's the short answer. Listen to the universe in silence, and definitely you'll understand your energy, because everything else will be turned off. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Aditya is asking, how do I tune my energy to abundance? Okay, so this is a good one. So it depends on what kind of abundance you're talking about, okay? So the first thing I'd suggest, if you want to tune your energy to abundance, is you want to start to get clear on which things are energy and which things are objects, okay? Now, most people would say, like if I asked you guys, what's money? Is money an object? Is money an energy? Like, what is it, right? Most people think money is an object. Like if I have $100 and I give it to somebody, then I don't have it anymore. Money stopped being objects a long time ago, right? There's no object. You can't take your money and get gold or silver or anything tangible for it. Money is actually energy, not objects. So if you don't understand that, if you think that money is objects, it's very easy to feel like you don't have enough of them and you're in scarcity. If you understand that money is actually energy, and I don't mean this in an abstract way, I mean this like in an actual way. Like your money now is actually just stored in the computer. It's just it's numbers. It's just energy. There's isn't anything actually behind it. And if you think about how energy flows, and if you think about money as energy, instead of thinking like counting how many dollars you had, like say, I've got $100 now, and at the end of the month I still have that $100 bill, you would think more in terms of how did I use that? How is that functional? And so I'd be over here and I would say, okay, I took that $100 and like I bought a really awesome dinner, for me and my friend, and then that restaurant took that money and they bought some goods and services from this person, and then that person got a great massage, and then this person went on vacation, and like every day that money changed hands, that same $100. At the end of the month, you had $3,000 worth of goods and services trade hands, and then you still have the $100 bill. Right? If money was an object, then why do you still have it? Why does somebody still have it, right? Right? It's that motion that creates the abundance, right? Not the object part. So if you want to tune your energy into abundance, start playing with energy. Get into some energy training, start playing with it, start getting used to thinking in these terms, because you have to turn on this energy mind or the spirit mind, and not just listen to the material mind if you want to get into abundance, right? Because if you're just focused on the material mind, it's always going to feel like there's some scarcity. The only way you can break out of scarcity in the material world is to make other people go into it, right? You have to compete for those scarce resources, because the material world is finite. The energy world is dealing in infinite quantities. So it's really easy. Okay, so one more question. I'll do more than one. How long have I been going here? Oh wow, 46 minutes. I can really talk. Okay, so let's see. That's the next question. Could you give some? Okay, so Maria says, could you give some tips on how to break free from old family legacy? Yeah. Okay. Good question. So I'll try to answer that in like 2 minutes. So what I would say, if you're trying to break free from old family legacy, first think about your empathy. So when you're feeling something like you're sad and it's your family's fault, or you're angry, it's your family's fault, or whatever, just separate from that, right? So start to divide out like what's mine and what's not mine. And if you ask yourself the question, you'll almost always get a clear answer. We just don't think to ask. So I'm feeling this emotion. Is it mine or is it not mine? Mine, not mine, mine, not mine. Okay, that's not mine. Okay, now that you know that it's not yours, what you're going to do is you're going to just put it outside. You don't have to process it or deal with it or do anything in particular. You just separate from it and just let it go, push it outside. If you want to visualize, you could visualize it as, we love objects, so that's why we visualize things as objects. You could visualize like, here's a rose, I'm going to put it in the rose and put that rose outside, or I'm going to put it in a soap bubble, or throw it out to the edge of the universe, right? These are all fun because our brain loves objects in the material world, and those all work. So that's you could just put it outside, and then you want to notice if you get the other answer like, oh, that sadness is me. Okay, then that's the appropriate time to dive in and say why and how do I heal it and how do I add in some positive energy instead. And honestly, that's these days, like if it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I'd say get some therapy or something slow like that. But these days, it's totally not necessary. things are moving very fast, it's better to just kind of add some positive stuff in to counteract that negative energy. Like Marissa Peer is fantastic at that. She's got a whole training course in Mindvalley. It'll teach you just how to do that. And so use one of those techniques. Is it mine? Is it not mine? If it's not mine, let it go. If it's mine, transform it. And if you do that, pretty soon you'll notice that whether it's family legacy or any legacy, health legacy, you can transform it and change it. That's kind of the basis of energy work. All right, good question. So Letitia says, how can you heal a relationship, meaning that both parts can heal, and see if they can move together or move separate, but both be happy, forgiving, and understanding? Okay, yeah, so I'm going to just kind of tune in the energy of the question there. So if you're trying to heal a relationship, in that question, you kind of hinted at, a relationship has to do with, two people and people kind of vibrate at different frequencies, right? And so there's always the question, like when you start vibrating at different frequencies, right? It's going to feel kind of noisy and doesn't feel good to anybody. If you're vibrating the same frequencies, you're kind of thinking, you're both playing the same song, you're in the same band, it sounds beautiful together, it sounds fantastic. But one person's playing one style of music, one person's playing another style, which could be because this person's got a different set of priorities, they're more conservative, this person's more liberal, or whatever it is. If that's happening and you're feeling that conflict, what you need to do is decide, I'm either going to change my vibrations, or let go of my attachment, and I'm going to try out the other person's song and see if that works, right? You're going to kind of come over here. That's one way to do it. That will only work if this song that your partner is playing fits you. Right? I hate to break it to you, but you just can't fake it forever. So if you change yourself to fit into a relationship, that is not going to last unless that you changed it as something that was more authentically you. That does happen. Like with me, my relationship with my wife, I'm changing tremendously, but I'm actually changing more into me. The part that's coming off is the part that was just other stuff, or my ego, or whatever that I thought I had to be. So it's coming off. I'm actually changing it more into me. So that's a really beautiful way to do it. You can do the other one where you can just say, I know who I am. I'm really strong over here. These are personality types, essentially. And then invite your partner to come over and meet you here. But again, keep in mind, just like for you, for your partner, that's only going to work if your song that you're playing is authentically theirs. There's some way that they fit in that vibration. If they don't fit, you don't want to try to smash them into that. You want to just let them be playing their song. So those are two ways. Now, you also want to notice frequency-wise or energetically that sometimes playing different signs can actually feel really good if you can get sort of into this sort of syncopated rhythm with each other, right? Then it can actually be really good. So that's possible too. The final one, and this is unfortunately is probably more common than anything I just mentioned, is that these vibrations actually don't fit. The authentic you and the authentic partner, the person that you're with, don't match anymore. Maybe you changed or something happened, or maybe you never fit. Maybe you just wanted to because they were really cool and you liked the way they looked and and you had fun together, right? And if that's the case, basically you just want to let go. The biggest problem I see, this happens all the time with people when they're in relationships, is that you get this sense that if I lose this person, I'm going to lose my dream that I had attached to that person, right? So, because when we're in a relationship, we naturally build up a whole story about where is this going to go, and it's exciting, and we get this whole, build up, this whole story, this dream. And if you attach that to a person, then when the person leaves, your dream dies, and that's the pain. In fact, most people that are in relationship pain are feeling the loss of the dream, not the loss of the relationship. If the relationship was so good, you wouldn't have lost it, right? It just didn't match. That's why you lost it. So you just want to hang on to that dream and say that dream is still okay. I just learned that that's not the person that's in that dream with me, and that's good. I hope you learn that really quick, so that the next person that fits the dream can come and join you. So hang on to your dream. If you're going to let the relationship go, hang on to the dream, and just trust that you have the dream for a reason. That there's somebody that fits, because you wouldn't just manufacture it. So kind of fun question. Relationships are a really fun place to look at energy. The deeper you get into energy work, the more fun your relationships are, the more deeply you connect with people in relationship, and the faster that those relationships teach you and inform you about who you are and what you like and what your life is about. So it's relationships are one of the most powerful places to experience energy and to learn about energy, and that's where you see some of the biggest benefits. Certainly, I have. All the training I've done in energy work has made my relationships just super juicy, super fun, and huge learning opportunities in a graceful way, rather than a hit my head against the wall, growth way, which we want to avoid, by the way. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. So Sarah says, how do I find my purpose? And so if you want to find your purpose, I'd say just start by eliminating other things, right? So just notice all the things that somebody told you to do. Maybe make a list of the things that you think you're supposed to do or your purpose. And then if you can't figure out where they came from, or they came from somebody else, just start to kind of cross things off that list. Because if you strip that away pretty quickly, if you take off all the stuff that's not actually you, you'll notice that you can hear you again. Because your purpose is it's inside you. There's no way to get away from your purpose. There's no way to you can sort of mask it out by getting other noise, but you can't really get away from it. It's another thing to just notice when I say that too, that some people are looking outside for somebody else to tell them their purpose. I'm going to go to somebody that, I did private sessions for 10 years. Lots of people, talked to me and said, what's my purpose? And, my job in that situation is to say, well, hey, let's find out together. Let's go check it out. Let's look at your purpose, because your purpose is in you. It's not in me. It's not in somebody else. Nobody else can tell you your purpose. But you can. You can find it. It's right in there. Just get your energy clean, start tuning in, and you'll notice that, wow, I found it. And the fun thing about purpose is once you find it, you realize, wow, I was actually always kind of on purpose already. I was already doing those things. I just thought I was supposed to do this other stuff. Most people are right on their path. It's hard to get really far off your path. The challenge is to be on your path in a way that you're having fun, and that it's productive and it's not traumatic. Right? Because you could be on your path say I could hook my foot to the back of a car and get dragged along the road and be on my path. I'm going to get there, but I might be a little beaten up. Or I could get on top of the truck and serve and have a good time and be on the same path. So it's not about really being on or off it. It's just about are you enjoying it? Are you doing it in a beautiful way? Or are you doing it in a way that's confusing? All right, so let me see. Let's take maybe two more. And so just a real quick one. Anita says, do you teach the 7 chakras since you deal with energy blocks? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the 7 chakras are just a very clear way to understand what's happening in the energy body. It's like the major organs of the body. In the energy body, the chakras would be the major organs of the energy body. So yeah, definitely, I teach that. I don't tend to go into a lot of historic detail or kind of esoteric detail because for me the chakras are they're functional. They're like microphones and speakers where you're receiving vibrations and sending vibrations out. They do things. They're like tuning knobs. There's I think about chakras as how do I improve my life? How do I how do I live my purpose in a graceful way? Can I do that by learning about my chakras and using more consciously? Yeah, you bet you can. I don't teach about what color they are, what symbols they're, because honestly they're just not decorations. If they were, you would see them, right? They're functional things. It's like talking about your heart or your lungs, or you want to learn how to breathe better. Learning about your lungs will help a little bit. You want to learn about how to make your heart beat better. Then learning about your heart's going to help. So yeah, I definitely teach about the chakras, but from a very functional, useful perspective, because the coolest thing I'll tell you, the coolest thing that I love to do with chakras is if you look at how things manifest. I've been talking a lot about this kind of energy world, and how to use this kind of spirit mind to see the spirit world or energy world. How to use your material mind for the material world. Your chakras are actually the bridge. Your physical body is the bridge for all of that. So if you're dealing with energy and spirit, and then you look at what actually happens in your body, that information goes down through the chakras and manifests into the physical world. It's really fascinating, because we don't actually live in two separate worlds. It's just that we actually live in one world that works together really beautifully. It's just that most of us only understand, one side of that coin, the material side. Most people don't flip it over and look at the energy side. But if you look at both sides, it's like, oh, now it's getting really interesting. And your chakras provide most of that translation from one to the other, most of that communications to the chakras. But I teach all about that in Duality. It's fun, and it's a cool technique, because once you learn that, you can find out what is it that you're not doing, or where are you having a little problem, and that's getting in the way of you creating what you want. Because it's always that translation from your dreams, your ideas, what you love, your passion, into your day-to-day life. That's where we get confused. We get frustrated when that's not happening smoothly. So if you learn about the chakras, about energy, and how to heal that and clear it and change it, you can find that place. You can find that place for you. Where is the place that's happening? Move it out. And actually, I'm pretty sure we do a part of that, a little modified, kind of simpler, easier version of that in the free masterclass. So as we wrap up here, check out the masterclass, and you'll get your answer to that. So let's see. Okay, one more here. Let's see. Okay, that's a nice one. So Michelle says, will you do a small clearing for us before you go today? Love your work. You're amazing. Well, I'll take that one as a question. You're amazing? We're all amazing. Thank you. Okay, yeah, so a small clearing for us. So what I would say right now is everybody that's still here and everybody that's going to be here in the future, right now I want you to just smile and notice one place where you are taking something a little too seriously, something that's some pain, or some place where you're frustrated or angry, and you're just going to imagine you can take you've got a little flashlight, and you can shine it into that area, wherever it is. It might be somewhere in your body, it might be somewhere in your life. And you're just going to shine that light really gently in there, and just notice that just that intention, just that focusing your intention to shine some light in on that place that's too serious, a place where there's too much attachment, starts to change it. And then I want you to hold both of those. Hold that place where you've got the frustration and the attachment, and then I want you to also smile and let your energy come up. And just know that whatever this is, there's an answer for you. And if you're not finding that answer in the material world, maybe because it's in the energy world. Fortunately, the energy world's really easy to find things. Very good. Okay, now just feeling all of your energy come up. And then just let that light kind of surround whatever that issue, whatever that frustration was, and let it start to penetrate all the way into that area is glowing with this bright light. Very good. And then just feel that starting to lift away. And let go of that part of your mind right now that wants to know what happened, why it happened, how you're going to do it again, if it's going to come back. Just let all that float away. And just let yourself know that you just moved some energy. If you don't think about it again, it's done. There you go. Good, good, good. All right, so just take a deep breath. And just let all that positivity just flood back into your space. It looks really good. And thank you, everybody, for listening to me talk about energy. I hope it was helpful for you. And I really hope that you take that opportunity to learn more about energy work, because I tell you, other than making my hair crazy, which it is today, I noticed. Other than making my hair crazy, energy work, it really changed my life. It changed me from a place where I was, just felt like I was stuck, felt like I was not able to find the answers that I wanted, and even though I was successful in many ways, that I wasn't happy. Energy work helped me change that. It helped me see the world and see the tools that I was missing, and realize that they're all right here. I can use them. I can change them. I can change my life. And the thing I'll leave you with too is like I just got this little insight just a couple of days ago. I was here in Budapest, and I woke up early because I got a little time zone change here from Tokyo, and I woke up and I was looking over at my wife, and if you know my wife Usami, she's this petite Japanese woman, and she looks like a little angel, right? So she's just sleeping and looks like this little peaceful angel, and she opened her eyes and she looked over at me, and right away my energy just like everything got coherent, just boom, I just lit up, super bright, and because I love her so much, and she was right there, and Isami sees energy, so she opened her eyes, and again looks like this little angel waking up, and she looks over at me, and she said, she saw what I was experiencing, then she said, "You should teach that in your class. You should tell them that the number one reason to see energy is that if you can see energy, you can see love." And I thought, ooh. She's right. If you can see energy, you can see love. And if you can see energy and you can feel energy, you can feel love, you can feel the people around you. It's the most authentic and beautiful way I know to operate in the world. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you in the training class, and many blessings for you.